Thanks a lot, Eva. Indeed, I'm extremely pleased to host this webinar with Just Style, so thanks to Just Style, and thank you also to all of you who have signed up for this event. Okay, let's now proceed and look at how lean can be applied in apparel manufacturing and its impact it can have on garment producers. Okay, so firstly, what exactly is lean? Lean indeed is all about eliminating waste in order to derive full value from a product, while at the same time continuously improving processes. As indicated in this quote, waste is anything other than the minimum amount of equipment, materials, parts, space, and workers' time, which are absolutely essential to add value to the product. As most of you know, I guess, the lean approach, which was pioneered by Toyota in Japan in the late 40s, has been widely adopted by the automotive sector and has a proven record of success. But now, does lean really apply in apparel manufacture? And if so, how? So that's what we are going to look at next. One thing is sure, today's global apparel industry is in a major state of change, making the lean method a must-have item in apparel manufacturing. So making lean really fashionable in manufacturing indeed. The global industry indeed has changed and is still changing a lot in many ways, and this has tremendous impact on apparel manufacturers. Firstly, consumer behavior has completely changed. Due to the digital revolution, consumers are more empowered than ever. They have direct access to the latest fashion market trends, as you know, and are constantly looking for novelty. Consumers are also looking for products which are personalized and custom-made to their needs. The fashion marketplace has become extremely fast-moving, and it seems that nothing can stop that pace. What does it mean? It requires brands and retailers to jump on trends right away and produce within very, very short cycles. With consumers who can buy anything today, no matter their geographic locations, and with supply chains that span across the world, the fashion industry will continue to globalize. This results really in a new normal for manufacturing. While for some products, companies remain in the quest for the next low-cost manufacturing countries, be it Vietnam, be it Ethiopia, other companies prefer to employ smarter production methods, bringing innovation to their processes. So now if you look at who are the new fashion consumers. First, they are heavily influenced by millennials. Second, they are highly mobile. 4.6 billion mobile phone users who have a huge preference for shopping online. $60 billion in the US in 2015, showing the importance of online shopping. As they are having unlimited and immediate access to information, what we see is that the new fashion consumers are becoming increasingly demanding. Indeed, instead of the 2 to 4 collections per year, they constantly demand multiple collections and new merchandising stores constantly. On top, consumers are no less forgiving when it comes to defective goods, particularly in today's world where product information and customer reviews are readily available in the forms of blogs, forums, and social media. As we said as well, consumers are increasingly demanding in terms of choice. They want a wider variety of styles, sizes, colors. Just to give you some figures, when you look at Zara, their customers shop in their stores 17 times a year. 17 times a year, which compares to 3 or 4 times their competitors. And when you think about it, Zara creates about 11,000 styles a year, about 5 times more than their competitors as well. So clearly, consumers want more choice, and they also expect custom-made clothes for them, sometimes at the same price point of mass-made products. In this environment, what does that mean for apparel manufacturers? It means that apparel manufacturers must be able to manufacture larger number of smaller and more complex orders to keep up with the pace of consumer demand. They cannot only focus on mass producing large quantities of standardized garments like they used to. So this is a major change. Due to the hastening pace also of the market, fashion cycles are becoming shorter and shorter. In fashion today, it's all about speed and novelty. It's about getting consumers engaged and excited about new products. It's about delivering fresh products constantly to all the consumers' attention. And fast fashion is impacting all market sectors, including luxury. The See Now, Buy Now movement, initiated by Burberry earlier this year, is really emblematic of today's consumer culture. Consumers want to wear clothes, even luxury, right after a fashion show. They don't want anymore to wait 6 months. Apparel manufacturers in turn find themselves perpetually needing to produce faster, even in luxury, which used to have more, I would say, traditional cycles. And last also but not least, brands and retailers obviously continue to produce in multiple sites across the globe, sourcing from multiple countries for multiple product ranges, trying to find the best equation for their business models. Apparel manufacturers now need to comply with internal regulations, standardized processes, and keep product consistent from one location to another where they produce, which is not an easy task. The internationalization of brands also means that sizes and sometimes styles have to be region-specific, involving even more variations to manage at the production end. And on top, apparel manufacturers need to maintain their price competitiveness, but low-cost production is becoming a diminishing possibility, really. Wages are increasing everywhere, as you can see on that slide. In China, which represents more than 50% of the worldwide garment production, costs have increased 20% between 2013 and 2015, to such a degree that in a couple of years, projections show that it will cost more to produce in China than it will in the US. And to such a degree that we see now a lot of Chinese apparel manufacturers seeking to expand their activity to Southeast Asia, notably in Vietnam, motivated by the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. But even in Southeast Asia, as you can see, salaries are increasing. In Vietnam, plus 6%, in Cambodia, plus 25%, and in Bangladesh, close to 80%. So, it may well be the end of low-cost manufacturing if you think about it. And it may be time to think about a new model for manufacturing. It may be time to think about a new model, one that involves innovative plant models, new supply and value chain approaches, as well as a new human capital model. as depicted here by McKinsey. Indeed, when you think again about Zara and the way they manage fast fashion goods, their supply and value chain approach that is totally controlled has enabled them to respond to consumers' desire extremely efficiently. It proves how much process innovation can impact product innovation. Of course, I don't say that all fashion companies should apply a totally controlled approach. What I am saying is that they should consider ways to innovate when it comes to their operation based on their business model and based on their strategic objectives. So, that's where Lean comes in the game. And indeed, it's really part of that ball game. Any process that wastes time, resources, or fabric is not an option anymore for apparel manufacturers. A number of Lean techniques can be applied to apparel manufacturing with impressive results, including value stream mapping, the 5S methodology, or the just-in-time production, to quote a few. However, Lean works best when multiple techniques are combined together into one process. So, we'll not look in detail at all these techniques, be ensured, during this webinar, but we'll now rather focus on areas where Lean can be most beneficial, and we'll start by the cutting room. If you want to optimize operational excellence in your cutting room, there are three areas to consider. First, elimination of fabric waste that has a substantial impact on business. Second, overall equipment efficiency. And last but not least, improvement regarding the flow and the layout. So if we look at fabric waste, fabric waste is an important matter for apparel manufacturers, as fabric today is the biggest single contributor to the cost of a garment, close to 70%. Essential when reducing fabric waste is to first implement an automated cutting process, ideally with zero buffer, to reduce the amount of fabric wasted between pieces during the cutting. But also finding ways to proactively avoid being overburdened during the preparation and planning stages is key. With complete automation, complete digitalization, starting from order entry to order processing and marker making to spreading and cutting and beyond, of course, which all in all makes the production process smoother. Secondly, for those of you who are purchasing your own fabrics to fulfill production requirements, you know for sure how difficult it is to make accurate estimates and avoid over-purchasing. Intelligent processes and solutions which can accurately calculate how much fabric is required to fill an order fit perfectly in the just-in-time philosophy. And third, it's also about finding the most efficient cut plan, resolving the flow of incoming order, and again you are getting more and more order in smaller volumes, and replenishments. Once you have addressed fabric waste, another critical area to consider is the so-called overall equipment efficiency. Overall equipment efficiency is indeed an industry norm that is measured by three distinct values. First, the availability of your machine. Second, the performance of your machine. And last but not least, the quality you get. And world-class figures for overall equipment efficiency stand at 85% and is regarded right now as the benchmark for Lean implementers. So for those of you who want to implement Lean in apparel, that's really the target you should have in mind in terms of overall equipment efficiency. Third point that we mentioned is about improving flow and layout. It's about improving the flow and the layout in and around the cutting room, of course, by eliminating waiting time, typically, work in progress, and non-value added space and motion. One very important point to remember at that stage is really that lean is all about inclusiveness. What I mean by that is that for a company to be truly lean, everybody needs to be involved. From workers on the factory floor, indeed, to upper management. Everyone's input is valuable, and flow and layout is no exception. Lean is indeed not just about tools, principles, or methodology. The human component is just as important, and it's something very important to keep in mind if you think about, implementing lean in your factory. Involve everybody. So let's look now at Blackhole, for example. To provide you with some background information, Blackhole is one of the largest lingerie companies in the world. Their manufacturing site in the Dominican Republic produces over 4.7 million pieces of very high quality lingerie per year, both for the US market but also for Europe. They were experiencing some growth, so they aimed to produce more without increasing their costs. So they decided to go for a lean approach. And by taking the lean approach, Blackhole was able to make optimal cost saving and increase productivity by refining a number of processes. And one of them was indeed the process of material handling. And one thing that Blackhole found out, and just an example to give you, is that pieces would often get misplaced somewhere between the time they were unloading from the cutter and the assembly stage. And this led to waste, as lingerie garments could not be completed, but also to lost time because people were looking after the missing pieces or they were even recutting. After implementing lean, Blackhole was able to increase their productivity by 20%. They also increased their throughput by 20%, and they reduced raw material cost by 3%, which is an enormous gain when you think about the cost of material, in particular for high-quality lingerie. So applying lean in apparel manufacturing can bring a lot of benefit. But there are another area that I'd like you to think about is lean for product development. Business models today are really evolving, and we see many manufacturers getting increasingly involved in product development for the customers, the brands and the retailer. They want to provide value-added services for them, and they are looking at ways to shorten the development cycle and making them less wasteful. And that's where lean for product excellence comes in. What is lean product development really? Well, lean product development is about focusing first on the consumers to make sure you can deliver the right fit and product consistency for consumers. Second, it's also focusing very much on performance with very agile product cycles and processes, be more efficient. And last, focusing on people. Improving team collaboration to ensure effective communication between departments, but also between brands, retailers, and the manufacturers themselves. So even for apparel manufacturers, it's important to understand who they are developing a product for, not only for brands and retailers. Who is the final consumer of the product? And how, as an apparel manufacturer, can I help the brands and the retailer achieve the best results when it comes to fit? Think about these figures. Fit is important. 62% today of consumers are not happy with how their clothes fit. This percentage is extremely high. 85% say they would buy a brand again if it fit well. So, engaging the customer, retaining it with fit can be a recipe for success. And look at those figures about return garments. 1 in 5 garments is returned due to poor fit. 1 in 3 garments purchased online is returned due to poor fit. Imagine the cost this represents for brands and retailers. So making sure that apparel manufacturer can help also on fit is essential. Another important thing is agility. Agility is really an essence of lean product development. Implementing lean in product development, apparel manufacturer can really shorten development cycle and streamline the development process. And of course, they can also enable collaboration between themselves and their customers. And I will show you some examples of the gain you can make through shorter development cycles later on. The example that I'd like to give you is the one of Cordeiro Campos. Cordeiro Campos is a Portuguese textile company, and it's a good example of one company that has used 3D virtual prototyping to shorten the product development cycle with less waste. They produce 300,000 garments a year for the luxury market. And Cordeiro Campos was working with extremely tight deadlines, and they wanted to reduce this time to market, but at the same time reduce the number of physical prototypes that they had to develop. By converting ideas into something visually tangible that all teams can refer to in their premises, but also with the manufacturers, 3D virtual prototyping and pattern making reduced significantly the occurrence of costly misunderstanding indeed, and made design approval process far simpler and far faster, because indeed everyone was working from the same image all the time. Cordeiro was also able to cut down on the number of physical prototypes that they needed to create, which saved a lot of time, but also a lot of money, because the cost of sending back and forth samples is just tremendous. And the lean product development process has played really a key role in allowing the company to remain competitive and continue expanding its business. And indeed, when we think about other examples that we are working on at Lectra, what we can say is that, in average, having a lean product development approach can shorten the product development cycle by 30 to 50%. So it has a strong impact on the lead time and on the time to market. To conclude, what I'd like to insist about is that for apparel manufacturers who want to produce faster, maintain competitive prices, while providing quality service for the customer, lean is really the ideal method to use. It will provide them with an opportunity to rethink the models when it comes to improving both the operational and the product excellence, and to enhance indeed the variety and quality of services that they can offer to brands and retailers to satisfy market needs. And to us, lean product excellence and lean operational excellence, it's a bit like the yin and the yang, as illustrated here. Lean operational excellence and lean product excellence are kind of two halves that, only when put together, can really serve as a springboard for transforming business model. And they fit extremely well together. And in my view, what it is, having this lean approach both on the operational but also on the product side, is for me the basis to form collaboration excellence. Because at the end of the day, that will help the collaboration between apparel manufacturers and their customer, the brands and the retailer. So it's really a very sound basis to work in a different way, not only looking at unit cost price, not only looking at FOB price, but putting value on agility, putting value on flexibility, putting value on quality. Just a few words about Lectra. Lectra, we do accompany our customers in the lean experience, in the lean journey, because at the end of the day, it's really a journey that you have to decide to go through. We help our customer implement lean manufacturing and lean product development initiatives, and we leverage strongly on our 40 years of expertise in the fashion and apparel industry. But also, we do leverage our truly effective collaborative solution, facilitating the entire fashion process from first creative spark down to manufacturing. And of course, we do it in a way that is automated and that is also fully digitalized. So also thinking about PLM solution is an essential component when you think about lean. A bit more background about Lectra. Founded in 1973, Lectra is indeed born in and with fashion. We have more than 23,000 customers across the world, including brands, retailers, and manufacturers. So we are present across the full supply chain. We have 265 engineers. We will continue to push indeed the boundary of fashion technology, and digitalization is key. Altogether, we have invested more than 185 million euros in R&D over the last 10 years, which is a very large amount. We really believe in investing in new talent, internally but also externally. We do have partnership with more than 900 schools across the world, again, to bring the best talents to our customers. We accompany apparel manufacturers in their journey, and we help them to reinvent the rules of the industry, trying to help them really to build new model that fits with their strategy. So that's it for me. I do thank you very much for your attention, and I will be very happy to answer questions if you have any. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Françoise. That was great. We've got a few questions already coming in, but if any of you are burning to ask a question, then please feel free to get in touch through the Q&A box. And then I can put the questions to Françoise. But I'll start off with one here that came in a little earlier, actually. It's just in relation to your presentation, actually, Françoise. It was where earlier you mentioned that 17 people go into a shop, where people go into a shop 17 times per year. Yeah. Can you remember which retailer you were talking about when you said that?
Certainly, I was talking about Zara. So basically, details.
Right.
Exactly.
Thank you. I was asked, but I couldn't remember. Thanks for clearing that up. Okay, so here's a question for you. You mentioned lean in collaboration excellence. What could be the efficient communication model between manufacturers and brands?
Oh, that's a very wide question. To me, I mean, to us, what we really think is that the way brands, retailers, and manufacturers work together should really evolve over time. In the past, and still today, it's heavily focused on prices, on unit price, so very much focused on cost. But today, what I try to demonstrate in my presentation is that agility, flexibility is essential. So I think it's really important that we move away from a cost-only approach, and that, you know, there is more consideration on flexibility, agility, speed from, you know, brands, retailers, but also manufacturers. And for us, it's essential that, you know, looking at collaboration excellence, we move towards more standardization, because when you think about it, in the fashion and apparel industry, standardization is still very low. People are still exchanging, you know, Excel file a lot. People are still exchanging papers, faxes in some cases. So really, it's not really standardized, far from that. And second, also what is important is to move towards digitalization. Because today when people think about technology in apparel manufacture, instinctively what they think about is CAD and CAM. So it's important to have automated CAD and CAM, but there are other technologies today, digital technology, that also can support a better collaboration between brands, retailers, and manufacturers.
Lovely, thanks for that. I hope that that answered the question. Another few questions coming in here. Are you able to say what retailers are successfully using 3D product development?
Which one are using successfully? Well, I can give you the example of F&F, so it's Tesco, and they have been using 3D virtual also prototyping, and the results are really tremendous. So for the person who is interested into that, I could share more data, but they have managed to reduce significantly the cost of returns, because F&F was having a lot of return on the products, and this has helped them tremendously, and they have saved a lot of money. So it's one example that comes to mind, but there are many others also we could discuss.
Okay, lovely. What are the solutions? Now this is a good one for you. What are the solutions that Lectra offer? Is it consulting software, etc.?
So there are different things that we are able to offer. First is definitely our expertise. So we have indeed both business consultants that who work specifically on lean. And what I'd like to remind also is that at Lectra we work, I mean, fashion and apparel is one of the most important markets for Lectra, but we do also work in the automotive sector. So we have worked also with a lot of automotive players and work with them on lean. So we do have internally at Lectra a number of business consultants who are specialized on lean that can obviously support any company that wants to go to lean. But we do also have obviously our technologies. When we talk about the cutting room, of course, we talk about the cutters, we talk about order planning tools to support and help during the preparation. We talk about automating marker making. So this is one area. When it comes to lean product development, of course, the two key technologies that we can propose are both 3D virtual prototyping, which we just discussed, but also PLM.
Okay, that's brilliant. Now we're getting more questions in, which I'm reading, so please excuse me. Can you explain how this will help to shorten lead time and speed to market?
Yes. When you think about 3D virtual prototyping, for example, you know, a lot of time today is spent in exchanging samples back and forth between, you know, the brands and the apparel manufacturers. So when you think about it, when you have 3D virtual prototyping, when you can make decisions based on 3D images, you don't need anymore to exchange all these samples back and forth. So it saves you a lot of time, and it saves you also a lot of money. So this is an important factor. And as a result, of course, the other point also is that it can reduce the product development time. And when you reduce your product development time directly, it improves also the lead time and the time to market.
Of course. Yes, definitely. Now this is a long question, so I'll read the whole thing out for you. Is 3D prototyping also going into sales samples? What's holding this trend back? And some customers tried it, but the sales team still want to touch and feel the product.
So it's basically talking about 3D almost till the point of sale, from what I understand, right?
Yeah, it looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's an evolution that is possible, but what we see right now from the customer that we are discussing with today, where people focus their attention is really on indeed improving the product development time and improving the lead time. So today, from what we see, there is more focus on that part, on the 3D virtual prototyping, but for sure, nothing we believe in the future will prevent to go to the point of sales. But that's not yet there. But again, it's from our experience. Today, when we talk, with customers in the US, typically, they are more focused today on gaining in efficiency through 3D virtual prototyping.
Okay, yes. Again, another long question for you. I'm sorry to do this to you. In terms of streamlining the development process, do you see the traditional model of receiving prototypes 1, 2, 3, etc. going away? This to me creates a lot of waste in time and agility to market. Product process usually takes 18 months. It is hard to change minds in moving away from the traditional product development model.
Indeed, it's an interesting question. I believe we will move away from that. I was looking the other day at some statistics in the lingerie market. When you look at the lingerie market, if you look at a high-end type of luxury, the product development cycle lasts more than a year, indeed. And when you look now at companies working more on fast fashion lingerie, typically providing lingerie to H&M, let's say. Well, we see apparel manufacturers that are able to develop the products in something like 5 to 6 weeks. So, how to say, it will not completely go away because you will have different type of products. So, if you think about fast fashion products, of course we see already that the product development cycle are getting shorter and shorter. We see it already. Now when it comes to more basic product, maybe you don't need to increase so much your lead time. So it really depends on the strategy of the company. It really depends on the products they carry. And it really depends on the model they want to follow for each specific range of product, I would say.
Okay, great. This is quite a good one too. Which do you think should be the first steps for a company that wants to move from a traditional batch production system to lean manufacturing?
The first step. From my experience, what I have seen, if we are talking about manufacturers, if I look at the company who have moved first into lean, and we have a good example indeed in Sri Lanka or also in Central America, I think the first area that is the easiest to look at is definitely the manufacturing part. And indeed, it's around the total workplace. So for me, it's first place to start is definitely on the manufacturing side, especially for a company that is focusing on batch production. But okay, again, depending on the type of product that they manufacture, they may also consider, lean product development. What I see right now is the more assembly they are in the process, the more you handle complex fabric or expensive fabric, the better it is indeed to look at linen.
Okay, thank you. I think probably the final question here, is Lectra working on 3D prototyping for denim with wash effects and finishes unique to denim? Nothing like putting you on the spot.
We do work on 3D virtual prototype, also on denim. Of course, when you want to consider the different types of washing technology, it's a bit specific. So it's something that we can provide. So I will be very pleased on that side to have a specific, discussion, because I will need to understand obviously what exactly your company want to do with 3D virtual prototyping on that space. But we do have this facility.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to pass on all the questions that we didn't have an opportunity to put to you. So you'll have plenty to do in the next few days, Francois. So fantastic. But thank you so much for everybody that's taken part today and for the barrage of questions that we've had. So I'm really sorry we couldn't do them all today. As I said to you earlier, I will be passing these on for you. Thank you very much to Francois for a great presentation today. I hope you all got something from it and enjoyed it. If you feel the need to go back and watch it again, you can do within the next week or so. Yes, within the next week. It will be available to you on demand on Just Style, and there is an edition of a lean white paper from Lectra that we will be offering to you as well. So that's another document that you can download and keep and use to your own benefit. So again, thank you, Francois, for your presentation and your time, and for everybody that took part. And have a great rest of your day.
Thank you to all of you, and have a great day or a great evening, depending on where you are.